S Light Leak is a new filter in version 8 that I just love. It's great for recreating a very realistic looking light leak effect that you would get if you were shooting on a film camera and light was leaking into the gate and overexposing the film in random places. One thing about light leak though is whenever you go into your effect editor, you'll notice there are quite a few different parameters in here to change and to mess with, and customizing light leak at first might seem a little challenging. But I want to give you some tips and tricks on how you can make the most of it and quickly achieve a look that you like. So the first thing starting out with Light Leak I would suggest is let's start in the preset browser again. I just dropped this filter right on this clip and you can see the default looks pretty good, but there are a lot of options in the effect editor to tweak, and if you want to just get a quick result and have a really quick, really nice look for your picture, the preset browser is definitely the best place to start. So click on Load Preset up here in the effect editor. The preset browser is going to load up, and you'll see that installed with your version of Sapphire are a lot of different really beautiful looks and presets that are created as part of the Sapphire software. And you just click through here and you see the one that you like, and you click on Load. It loads up. And that is that. Let's say you want to create your own customized look. Starting from scratch in Light Leak can be a little intimidating, but I want to show you how it's actually not that bad and really a lot of fun once you start getting into it. So I'm going to delete this from the clip and let's start over. Let's go drag it up and let's take a look at the different controls in here in the effect editor. The key to mastering Light Leak is really understanding what it is. It's actually a lot simpler than you would think. Light Leak is 3 independent elements that are moving and flashing across the screen in the direction and in the way that you tell it to. The best way to wrap your head around this is really to only look at the light leaks themselves and turn the picture off. So the way to do that is to, in your effect editor, go over here to combine and change it to leaks only. So now we're only looking at the light leaks themselves. Okay, and let's also talk about these on-screen controls here. I'm going to make my source monitor, my record monitor a little bit smaller. This control here is the size of your light leaks. So I'm just going to go ahead and shrink it down even more. And this arrow is the speed and direction of the light leak. So what direction is it moving and how fast is it going? So I'm going to go ahead and slow it down. Okay, and now that way, because in the middle of this clip, you can see this element that's moving across the screen and kind of boiling a little bit and flashing. So now that you can, and this crosshair is the position of it, so we can move it around to our heart's content. Okay, so now that you can see what the light leak actually consists of, it's much easier to customize. So my suggestion is to go up to scale lights, bump this way up so that we can see it better. Okay, and these are the master controls: hue, shift, saturation, gamma, color. You can change the overall look of your entire light leak with these master controls. But instead of doing that right now, let's go down here to element 1, 2, 3. So this is element number 1. The checkbox is on, so it's turned on. And let's open up the disclosure triangle and see what our options are. So we have size. This was the on-screen control that we were controlling earlier. We've got our relative height. We've got our brightness. And this is the brightness just for this individual element. Okay. The speed is the arrow. Notice how the arrow is changing as I move that parameter back and forth. And the angle. So the first thing you might want to do is you might want to make a custom color. You might want to have this gradient here on this element customized to your liking. So let's do something like, I don't know, green. Make this green in the middle. I like that. Maybe kind of a dark green. Okay. And then let's say our middle color is sort of a, what is our middle color? Kind of a blue. Okay. And let's say our outer color is an orange. Let's see, that's getting close to what I like. All right, so that's cool. Now your midpoints, this is the range between these colors. You can notice how we're changing the midpoint between the gradient. So, and we can also soften up that midpoint between the gradient. This is the softness is the softness of the element itself. Okay, let's make it a little bit brighter so it really stands out. Okay. And now your noise is how much of this texture do you actually see? So noise frequency, I'll bump that way up, and you can see now it's actually making it look more bumpy. So you can create all different kinds of stylized looks. Let's say for this one we want to go a little bit more realistic looking. So a realistic light leak wouldn't have a lot of noise in it. So let's put it, yeah, about 1 is good. Okay. And let's slow this down. And the noise detail, as I bump this up, you notice that it's also going to get more bumpy. So a realistic light leak wouldn't have a lot of detail in it. So I'm going to keep that pretty low. Now the boil speed is important too, because as I play through this, you can notice that this is sort of moving a little bit. Well, if I bump this boil speed up to, like, say 3, watch what happens. It is kind of boiling. It's kind of like pulsating a little bit more. So maybe we want that to be even more, like 5. That's pretty cool. All right, great. So we got that looking the way we like it. Let's move it over here to the side, and then let's take the size and really bump up the size. All right. And we'll make it, you know, the size that you like. Move this over here to the side. Okay. So that's what it's going to look like. It's not moving very fast. And that's just that element. So now that we've got our first element set, let's close our disclosure triangle. And let's change our combine parameter here to screen and see how that looks. That looks pretty nice. Now you can also do add. Add is going to make a harsher light leak look, and that might be what you're going for. That's pretty cool too. Okay, now I would also say go in and play with the glow parameter as well, because you can really soften the image by taking the glow width down or bumping it up depending on the look that you want, and playing with your glow threshold. Okay, so I like the way that looks. So now let's go in and put another element on there, do something totally different with it. So I'm going to go back to my combine, change it to leaks only, and I'm going to turn off element 1 because we don't want to look at 2 elements at a time. It's just too confusing. So now turn on element 2, and this is the default setting for element 2. Again, I'm going to shrink it down. I'm going to slow down the speed and angle. Okay, so now we can actually see it. Okay, let's move it around. Open up your element 2 disclosure triangle. Might even want to make it smaller. Okay. Alrighty. I'm going to bring down my brightness here so it's easier to see. And let's first start with changing the color out. So maybe the center of this one stays white. Maybe the mid color is blue. Let's do something patriotic maybe. All right. And then the outer color is bright red. Okay, that's cool. Let's play with our midpoint to get that to adjust the way we like. Maybe bump up the softness, take the softness way down. Find a happy medium. Okay. Now let's really make this one look different. So our noise frequency, I'm going to say our noise frequency stays about right here, but we make this really detailed. All right. Really bump up your boil speed, perhaps. Let's see how that looks. Looks very interesting. Let's see. Bump up the noise amp. Looks kind of crazy. All right. Now let's make it big. And this is really bright right there, so I might move that midpoint setting down just so it's not so bright on that section of the image. And then let's go up and really change the flicker amp and make this blink a lot. All right, I like it. And now let's give the entire thing a little bit more motion. So if you can grab the on-screen control, grab that arrow, let's have it move down. Okay. That's certainly interesting. All right, and let's check our blending mode and see how it looks. That's interesting. Point is that you can do some really cool stuff with it. So maybe that's a little bit too noisy. So let's go back to leaks only. And I'm just going to turn down my noise detail. It's too distracting before, you know. So that looks pretty good. Maybe we want to make it even softer. Let's see what that does. Okay. And let's change our noise frequency and see what that does. Cool. All right, now let's change it back to screen. That's neat. Now I'm going to go over here and just move this over to the side a little bit more so it's not quite as bright there in the middle. It's still too bright. Take that brightness down. Maybe turn your lightness up here, scale lights back down. But you can see here as I'm going through this why you can just get into tweaking it for hours and hours and hours, because there are so many settings, there are so many different looks that you can achieve. But it's a lot of fun because you can create something very stylized, very cool looking on your own. And then once you find a look that you like, let's go ahead and turn on our other element. And let's make this big. Let's say I really like this look. You don't have to go in and tweak. You don't have to go in and recreate it ever again. We can save this as a preset. So once you've got all your settings right, go up here, click on Save Preset. Save dialog comes up. We'll call this Santa Anita. And then click Save. And now the next time I go over to my effect palette and I drop on the light leak onto a clip, if I want to bring up that look again, now I can go to Load Preset. The preset browser is going to load up. Just type in the name of it, Santa Anita. There it is. Load. And I don't have to recreate it.